In a previous lesson, we looked at the OneNote class notebook within Teams. Today, we're going to look specifically at the accessibility features within the OneNote class notebook. Specifically, organization. Now, there's nothing quite like OneNote for organization in the educational realm, and OneNote class notebook, as we said in the previous lesson, is really multiple notebooks in one. So again, we have 4 different OneNote notebooks together in one. I've got the collaboration space, content library, teacher only, and this is actually my son that we threw in here as a sample student. And collaboration space, again, is where anybody can edit. Content library is where only the teacher can enter, and students are able to read what's in there. I noticed that this particular course is already set up for all of the units, although they're actually empty at this point, whereas the teacher only library has all of the content that will, when it's the right time, be shared to the content library for students to access, and also, when it's the right time, to distribute into the student notebooks. So you have practice problems, those will be distributed to the student notebooks. Assessments, similar. Teacher lessons will not be distributed. This is just for the teacher to view. And then student resources, some of those can be distributed to the students individually, like the warm-ups, but lessons would be something that would instead go to the content library. This is what a OneNote class notebook could look like for students. So when you set up your sections, again, when we had you set them up, we recommended you only have 2 sections. This is actually an open educational resource math curriculum that Microsoft provide. So they have set up warm-ups and lessons, and cool-downs and practice problems and my reflections. Well, yeah, you can read the rest. So this is all set up to go with this particular course. So obviously the students' content is organized for them. And as the teacher goes to a certain unit and a certain lesson within that unit, when it comes time to distribute practice problems, simply select that practice problem, go up to class notebook, and distribute that page to whichever section is appropriate. So you can see on the right side of the screen, these are practice problems, so I will send it to the practice problem section.
It can take a little while for these to upload and distribute, so that took about 10 seconds for that one to actually get distributed.
The fact that the teacher-only section is already organized into different types of content makes it really easy and obvious to figure out where within the student's notebook that should go. And if this is instead a teacher lesson, that's going to be something I'm just going to keep to myself, but there are student resources in here as well that rather than going into the practice problems, like the lesson content here, would be something that would go into the content library. So if we go up to the content library, I realize I'm bouncing around a lot here, we also have Unit 7.2. And within here, you'll find content that's appropriate for students to read through. Okay, so this is blank right now, but if I go into the matching Unit 7.2 in my teacher guide, I can find lessons. And when it's time to share this with students, I can simply choose whichever lesson we're on. Rather than distributing the page, I can send this to the content library. Again, it will take a moment to actually make that move. And I can choose which of my classes I want to send that to. It doesn't have to be just the one class that I'm in. I can choose any number of classes to share that with. This class. So this is this has built-in organization for the students. And so as I, the teacher, am distributing student resources for warm-ups, when I choose a warm-up to distribute, I'll click on Class Notebook and distribute that page. See opening on the right, I get to decide where that goes. So if I'm distributing, that means I give 1 copy to each student. And since this is a warm-up, I will simply put it in their warm-up section. Come back on over here. There are also items in here that will not be distributed to students individually. So if I choose lesson content that is supposed to be read-only, then rather than clicking to distribute the page, I will select that item and send it to the content library instead. Here I get to choose, let's see, that was lesson 7.1, lesson 2. So we are still in lesson 7.1, one of the lessons. Here's where we get to choose which class or classes we want to send this to the notebook for. And it does take a little bit of time for things to sync. There's an incredible amount of organization built into this. Now, this was the way that I received it. So this was someone else's organization system here, but you are free to set yours up however you see fit. It doesn't have to be this elaborate. Again, this is an entire 7th grade math curriculum all in here in the teacher only section. And they have a lot of different sections to keep their students organized. Keep in mind, these are 7th graders, so they need all the help with organization that you can possibly give them. OneNote itself, even if you don't have all of this levels of organization, OneNote itself is just a great way to organize. So if I go and add a new page here, no matter where else my content is, OneNote has the ability to insert all kinds of things. So I have one OneNote notebook that I send all of my email to. And so as I get email, I have under my inbox, I have different folders that have things like 3D printing and conferences and vendors. And so I make those folders in my email, in my Outlook, and as I get emails, I sort them into those folders, and then I come to OneNote and I have sections that match each of those folder names. So I can grab all of my 3D printer emails and send them all to this section together. I can grab all of my vendor emails and send them to this section together. Let's grab a new page here. So if I click on Insert and then File, and choose Insert File Printout, because this is the online version, my choices are only Word or PDF. And let's see if I can find, yeah, here's a Word document. So I'm going to choose to insert that, and it will insert essentially an image of that document. See, I can resize, click and drag to move around just like any other object. I can also link back to the original Word document. Okay, and because I'm online, it's asking if I want to download that. And so that would open this in Word. And if I edit it and then save, then come back here, the printout will actually tell me that it's out of date and that a newer version exists. And it will allow me to click and kind of refresh this image. So this can stay up to date. And again, if you're using the desktop version of OneNote, you'd have a lot more options besides Word or PDF to be able to do that in. There is also the ability to embed forms here. You create a quiz in Forms, you can embed it here, and then again distribute this page to your students. You can insert pictures from a variety of sources. You can add web links. You can record audio. It'll ask to use your microphone, and you can record right here. So it is now recording what I say, and when I finish, I can click stop. So the math tools are pretty cool. This is a whole other topic of accessibility, really. But if we write an equation here, and now click on the marquee select, now it's chosen those items. And if I click on word math, first of all, it checks to see, did I get this right? If not, I can click fix it and adjust it. And if I want, I can make it look a little prettier and do ink to math. But here I can also choose from a few options, including graphing. Throw that on the page, or solving for X or Y. Okay, so it doesn't just give the answer, but it actually allows me to look up the steps. And we've looked at Immersive Reader before, but this is Immersive Reader right here. So not only does it give me the solution steps, but I can then open those within Immersive Reader, and I get all of the tools, including translation. So I can translate this entire set of directions for how to solve this problem into Spanish and have it read aloud. Okay, so all of Immersive Reader is available here in the Math Tools. And in addition, if I want some extra help, like my teacher's given me a couple sample problems, but I feel like I don't have it mastered yet, I can click to generate a practice quiz. And it will take this one problem, and it will generate anywhere from 1 to 20 questions. It will actually create a quiz within Microsoft Forms online. So this will link to the actual form online. Notice that even here, embedded within OneNote, this form has Immersive Reader. and each question does. So I can answer right here, and that's handy for my teacher well, in this use case, I'm creating it for myself, but that's handy for me because I can go to forums and see how I scored. But if the teacher was actually doing this and sharing this out with students, then by embedding it in OneNote, they also get the advantage of the student can do their work here on the page. And so I can go to forums and get their actual answer automatically graded, but I can come back to this page and I can see that, yes, just by guessing, I happen to actually get the correct answer there. So again, forms will have an answer key for easy grading, but then the teacher can come refer back to see the work done here as well. So you could do this within forms by itself, but by putting it in OneNote, you get the added benefit of the student being able to show their work. So this is just the math tool within OneNote, which again has all of those Immersive Reader tools within OneNote as well. So a lot of different ways to organize information, a lot of different tools to help the student and the teacher to organize content within OneNote. Another thing that helps with organization is if you right-click on any page, you can make that a subpage. So within a notebook, we have section groups. Within those section groups, we have sections, and within those sections, we have pages. But if you need further nesting than that, you can again right-click on pages and bump this up to a full page, or even down more levels than that. In addition, for your sections, you can use colors. I happen to be colorblind, as I've mentioned before, so this one doesn't help me a whole lot, but you can add new sections here, and you can color code sections so that you could have one color for each unit, or one color for each topic, or one color for each student, whatever form of organization that you want to use color coding for. So there is a whole lot more to OneNote. It could be a course all on its own. In fact, it may soon become a course all on its own. So that this is really focusing just on the features that help with organization and accessibility.